Hello, my most awesome, amazing, wonderful, beautiful kindred souls. Welcome to the next step along our spiritual journey. Today, I am going to do a year ahead reading. So we are just about going into 2026, which is very significant for most all of us that are light workers and highly sensitive spiritual beings. So I'm going to take the time to do a card. I'm going to do actually 2 cards for each month. We're going to start with tarot just to see what the energy going into with the energy each month, what we might expect, what kinds of things we might be working on. And then I am going to use this Oracle of Light, or the Secret Language of Light Oracle cards. And these are just absolutely beautiful cards. And I think that they were just calling to me for the energy of 2026. And I think we can use that as a little bit of just additional messages from the angels of what they might want us to know or think about or keep in mind as we go through each month over the next year. Got some sweetgrass on me. And then I will draw 3 cards, just an overall quick message from your heart, from the angels, and from your soul as we head into this most amazing year. I'm sure it's going to be. Like I've said in other videos, I've just absolutely felt a massive shift occurring. I know for me personally, and it has been, talked about for many years that it was coming for light workers. It's kind of going through a portal and entering a new timeline where we're all being called forward to start fulfilling our mission, which means a lot of healing is going on. A lot of shadows are coming up, and this 2025 was a universal year 9, which is a year of completion. It goes in 9-year cycles. So, 1 is the beginning, 9 is the end. And we are just finishing up that 9, which means we're finishing a cycle and we're entering into a new one. And that is just so exciting. So very exciting. So, I'm going to light some sweetgrass here. This invites the positive energy. And I have already asked the angels to join us for bringing us messages for the year ahead, for the collective that will best serve the greatest good and all of our highest good, helping bring in that positive energy, helping the earth with the dissension, helping ourselves heal and other people heal, and seeing the truth, not being quite so held back by ego and old patterns, but finding that healing and that truth and that authenticity within us. So lots of positive energy. And then also I got this spray I created with some essential oils to just bring in the angels. Archangel Haniel specifically, this oil is for. We ask Archangel Jophiel, Uriel, Michael, of course, and Raphael will definitely need their energy to join us in this reading and bring us their messages of healing and love and protection. So, going into 2026, which adds up to, a universal year. It would add up to 10, 2026, but we always reduce that down to a single digit. So we are going back into 1, which is a year of new beginnings, like I said, and of positivity, looking forward, taking action. The number 1 is about actions, not about being passive at all. It's about action and bringing dreams that we have into reality, the beginning of all of that, which is just a wonderful place to start out the year. So here's the tarot. Let's go ahead and draw them. That might take a bit to get 12 cards out, so I'm going to let some of them come out as they will, and then we will more intentionally lay them out as we go. Okay, or I may not have to. Maybe they're all just going to jump out right away. Let's get them here. February, March, April, May. See, we almost got half the year already. June, July, August, September. Yep, they really want to come out. You like to just take a deep breath and just kind of focus on the year ahead. Focus on bringing those angels around, these readings, even though it's for the collective, the angels will guide you and direct you to the right reading at the right time to hear what you need to hear. So take a deep breath, bring in that positivity, try and release the ego and those types of things that hold you back. Imagine the angels and their light around you, and say something like, "Thank you, angels, for allowing us to see and hear and know what it is we need to know and to understand it with clarity for going into this year ahead." And right when I finished that, 2 cards. Let's see, where were we at? September, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, one more. Might as well let it jump. If it doesn't, then we'll do it more intentionally. Well, that'll work. December. Okay, and then we will do the oracle coming up after that. So it looks like, let me take a look at what we have, because I didn't. Okay, so we are starting the year off pretty good. Pretty good. It looks like we're going through the year as we work into the second half of the year. We might feel like things are getting a little bit more established, but for the most part, it looks like we're definitely sticking with that energy of newness, of new beginnings. So last year I did a lot of weekly readings that came up with the healing and a lot of the work that we've either done, accomplished, finished, or started last year. So it looks like, going straight into this year is starting to feel some of that leveling out. Some of it's starting to feel like the work you've done is paying off. You're starting to see how, it's going to work and in this new normal, basically, that you're going to have going into the year, but it's still going to be very fresh and new. So it's also going to be a time, to learn as much as you can. If you feel like you want to learn more about something, January is definitely going to be a great month to do that. Any classes you want to take or anything like that. But what is coming from this is good news, and it's the Page of Earths, and Earth is a card about, earthly material things. So it can be good news about your career, about, financial things finally starting to come up, about learning new things. So you may just feel empowered to go forward with maybe a new area, feeling good, feeling that energy coming towards you, your career starting to stabilize, or going into a new career, or making the decision to go into a new career, or even like a new hobby or something like that, where it's new and it may bring in some financial balance. You know, if you've struggled with money, January is saying that something is starting to click and shift so that that money can come in. And then February, we have the Ace of Air. It'll probably feel a little less stable, a little bit faster. So still more new beginnings coming in, but instead of feeling kind of grounded and secure in that, stabilized, kind of going forward, creating a foundation, with that energy is going to feel more like fast. It's going to speed up. New things are coming, and it's going to be ideas, really wonderful, inspirational, just brilliant new ideas for going forward. So carrying over from the previous month of good news about stability, career, and all that kind of stuff. Now you're starting to, our February is going to start bringing in a few more ideas, maybe of how to implement things, how to make it work, maybe, stuff like that. But it is very possible that for some of us in this collective in February, it's going to be a bit of a rough start. It's important to keep in mind that that doesn't mean that it's not starting. That doesn't mean that there's problems. That doesn't mean there's obstacles. It just means that the beginning isn't, just going to fall into your lap. There's some challenges. So definitely in February, I want to keep an eye on or stay aware of the kinds of thoughts that are coming to you and keeping those more positive, which is also part of that angel number 1 energy that we're under, is trying to maintain positive expectations. All right, and then going into March, we have the Knight of Air. The Knight of Fire. And like I said, a sudden event that needs immediate attention. Time is of the essence. So when March comes around, I'm willing to bet that with these new ideas and some of the challenges that come up in February, I'm willing to bet that what this card is saying is that you're going to start to hesitate or start to doubt a little bit what you're feeling and, that motivation. We start the year off pretty strong, go into those challenges, and then those thoughts start to come in. Those doubts start to come in. And, it starts to get kind of old, but that's not really what I mean. I think I mean more to the old thoughts, old patterns, old expectations kind of start to come into the picture in March. And March is actually the 3rd month of the year. So that's the one that is really big on having faith that you're very familiar with. That old faith, falling back on the kind of faith that you might have had as a child, where you just knew things were going to work out. Those old doubts and that ego that developed over the years wasn't necessarily there. You just believed. Somebody told you the angels were there, and you would have believed that the angels are just there, and that you wouldn't have any reason to doubt it. It's that kind of faith. And that's what the angels are saying you might want to fall back on. So instead of falling back on this kind of old thoughts and old patterns and that ego telling you, see, I told you you couldn't do it. I told you things wouldn't change, I told you it wasn't safe, whatever your ego comes up saying, I think it's going to probably challenge you in March, but you'll want to fall back on, listening to your heart. Even with that angel number 3 energy that we'll be under in March, that will help you with that. But be careful in March of those thoughts coming up and making you hesitate. I think in March, things are really going to start to shift and they're going to start to change, and you're having that faith and that positive expectations and going with the new that you've been working with. Especially, you got January and February, you've been working on already some new ideas and new careers and, the stability and that foundation coming in. Don't go into March and let that ego and those old thoughts and old patterns and that kind of stuff derail you. So, don't hesitate to believe the good. Don't hesitate to go forward with what your heart is telling, what your passions are telling you, what you've experienced prior to that month going into the year, and what you've experienced through all of the healing and your inner knowing and all of the stuff that go forward with it in March. That's going to be very important. And then April, right? So April is when we want to see again was the moon. Archangel Haniel, the spray that I use, I'll call her in. Archangel Haniel is the archangel that helps us see our gifts, tap into, see, and understand our gifts. So Haniel is the one that can help you tap into your intuition or, any kind of clairvoyance, clairsentience, to understand it, to use it, to be able to distinguish between what is your psychic abilities and your intuition and what is your ego or what is just coincidence. Archangel Haniel is the one to call in to help with that. And which is why I like that spray for doing readings, because that's where you tap into those abilities to connect with your angels and hear them and understand them and all of that. So that's what April is going to be about. So now it seems like you overcome some of those old patterns, those old thoughts. You make good choices, choosing yourself, choosing your new way. And April, sort of darkness comes over the month. So as you progress with your goals and with what's going on, April will be the month where you're just gonna have to feel your way through. So it's a good card. It's a card about your intuition being strong, but it's also a card about needing. So my battery just died right in the middle of that, but we were talking about April. I mean, speaking of, it going dark, like, I think, that's actually maybe part of the reading to emphasize that, because my battery shouldn't have died. It's plugged in, so I'm not even sure why that happened. But that's this month of, going forward. Some of those old doubts start to creep in. I mean, old patterns and doubts and that ego voice start to creep in. And then it's kind of like just a darkness overcomes. A veil comes down in April. And it feels like I have no idea which direction to go, what I'm supposed to do, and that is when you're going to want to call on the Archangel Haniel and tap into those abilities to connect with the angels, to connect with the spiritual realm, to connect with your higher self. And it's really going to be basically a lot like a test of faith. And that's really hugely what's gonna happen as we progress through the year. All the healing, the work, and everything that you've been doing, and this progress that you have made over the last few years, probably over the last 9 or 10 years since we went through that last cycle. The test is March. The old patterns and old ideas start to come in, and then April is the clean, kind of that blank slate. What are you going to choose? Which way are you going to go? You can go back. I don't know if you can go back. Some of us are at a point along this journey where there is no going back. You've passed the point of no return. But some of us in the collective will still have the opportunity to go back to your old ways, to just go back to old patterns, it can be easier. Who am I kidding? I remember talking about April coming and basically the lights going out, and you having to rely on your faith and your intuition in a way that you may have never had to do before in your life, because you have crossed the threshold, you have crossed into a new timeline, and things are so different now. You can rely on your intuition in ways that you never could before, because of the work that you've done. And that's what April is taking you to. It's not bad. It's not being undone at all. But it is saying, now's your choice. Make the choice now. Tap into that intuition. Tap into that side of yourself. Listen to yourself. Keep walking away from all of the things that you walked away from. Keep walking into the new, believing in yourself. And I wouldn't be surprised if that month also feels like some of the old stuff that's not aligned with your new energy starts to fall away. So more of that kind of lonely feeling, like if you've watched the week ahead readings I've done the last couple of weeks, there's been this sense of loss, a sense of emptiness. Of the angels are saying that's not actually so much emptiness as that your world, your consciousness, your spiritual world, that realm has expanded. So it just feels emptier when really it's bigger. You've just opened up so much more, so so April is going to really challenge that, but it's all good things. Believe in yourself, fall back on what you've learned, fall back on that growth, and really trust yourself. The card is the moon, and it's like, this one doesn't really show it as well as some of the other cards, but it shows being in the dark and kind of walking down a path, and all you can see is the moon, and that moon like represents your guidance. The moon is like your inner guidance. It's all you can see. So just following that moon and trusting that, your angels are there and you've done the work to get you to where you need to go. And then we go into March. And March is the Magician. So manifestation. Most of us definitely are going to make it through. Most of us we're going to make it. And we're going to make it well. Some of us are going to be far enough along that these challenges and tests that come up, these beginning few months, aren't even really going to phase us. And some of us are still going through a few, the beginning part of your ascension. You're just starting this, and that is, these months are going to be more challenging for you. This darkness that comes in April for some of you might be dark nights of the soul. And if you don't know what a dark night of the soul is, it's basically being depressed. Something happens and those challenges and those old thoughts and all of that stuff comes up, but the trick is to pay attention to what comes up, because that's when a lot of shadow work can be done, and the things that are making you feel what you feel. Thank you, Cheeky. But the things that come up, they can be thoughts, they can be images, they can be people. Somebody can come into your life and, break your heart or bring some challenges. And it's important to look at that and not run away from it, not resist it, but see what that shadow from your past is revealing to you. Something you need to heal, something you need to remember, something you need to face and understand about yourself. And it might be something about yourself that you don't like. So that, like I said, that's going to be April. So quite a few of us in the collective who may be seeing this, those months may be more challenging for you. But keep in mind, it's meant to be. This is a major arcana in April, so it's just absolutely meant to be. Work your way through believing in yourself, and like I said, calling on your angels. And then in May, we've got the Magician, and things are gonna feel easier. You're gonna start realizing that, once you get through that, falling back on your intuition and believing in yourself, you're gonna realize that you're actually much more powerful than you realized. That's one of those moments. And I'm really being shown the image of when it happened to me, of, I started reading tarot in like 1997, and I tried it so hard to learn the absolute meaning of every card perfectly, and it was difficult to do that. It was just rote memorization, and I'm not good at memorization. I have ADHD. I have probably some form of dyslexia. I can't do math, so memorizing stuff like that was challenging, but I could feel that there was more to these cards. And then I started learning about the intuitive readings, and it's like, well, just, trust what comes to you and believe what comes to you. And I was like, I can't do that. How do I trust? And even as I worked through several years of my spiritual journey, there was always this little bit of doubt in the back of my mind, even when I believed everything that I was, either reading in the cards or that I was downloading or what I was hearing from the angels. There was always that just little tiny bit of doubt that would say, it's not real. It can't be real. And even if it was real, what makes you think you're good enough to hear what the angels have to say? I also dealt with a ton of depression for most of my life, so my ego was definitely not very nice, and I never felt very deserving. So that was a huge struggle that I had to go through. And I am just being shown that moment when I first realized that I didn't have the doubt. And man, it was a lot of work to get to that point. A lot of shadow work, a lot of dark nights, a lot of doubts, a lot of, things getting worse before they got better. But they did. I made it through all of that. And that's what we're doing this year. You're making it through all of it. And then you realize in May just how powerful you actually are. Some of us will realize how powerful we actually are. I don't know if any of us can actually realize that, honestly, because we're just in this limited body. But you're going to start realizing more of your power than you ever did before. Trusting it, realizing it. It's been challenged. It's been put to the test. And in May, it's like, oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, like I can really do this. I can really manifest. My thoughts really do influence what I'm attracting to myself, my beliefs. I can change my beliefs. I can change things about myself, and I can bring into reality whatever it is I'm thinking about. Basically, you're going to start feeling and tapping into that more, which is an amazing feeling to have. So I hope it's really powerful for most of us, though I do think some of us are definitely at the beginning phases. So you're just going to start seeing that and start realizing that. And there's other of us that are further along on our journey, and we're going to be full on coming into massive changes and shifts and actually bringing in a lot of the changes that we're working towards. A lot of success you're going to start seeing in May. And then we go to, what comes after May? June. Then we have June, and that is the 8 of Air. So in June, it's a back and forth, isn't it? It's that kind of up and down, that roller coaster. Prepare for that this year. Ups and downs, ups and downs, because when we get to what I said was June. When we get to June, that might be another feeling of that, just being trapped And this is very much a card of it all being in your head. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean like you're doing it and it's your fault. I don't mean that. Remember, when we get to air cards or sword cards in tarot, it's really just a matter of thoughts. We tend to have negative thoughts. Those negative thoughts can get in the way. Those negative thoughts block things, good things from coming to us, and those negative thoughts will attract, negative things to us. Like attracts like. That's the law of attraction. And it influences our beliefs. We always attract what we believe. So it looks like May, you start getting in at some of that, oh wow, look at how powerful I actually am. And then June comes along and it's like, oh, I feel like, more things are coming. It's not quite changing the way I thought it would, or I hoped or expected. It's not quite happening. And I just feel stuck or I feel trapped. But what's important to remember is that is the energy of that trapped feeling being an illusion. You're not actually trapped. It's just old beliefs. It's old ideas. It's a nervous system that's wired for protection. It's wired for doubt. It's all of this stuff going on with you and how you learn to protect yourself and to get through life for so long. It's that kind of stuff just coming up and rising to the surface, trying to protect you, but it's not actually holding you back, and you do have more power and control over that than you think. And being that it is an air card, it's going to be your thoughts. June, watch those thoughts. Use your thoughts as your superpower. Not only do thoughts come in and make you feel more trapped or make it feel more difficult, but they can also do the opposite and bring in more positivity and positive things. So you do have that power to make that shift. And then we get to July, where we have the Ace of Earth. So good news comes in, which I think it's funny that the Ace of Earth is opposite of January as we get halfway through the year, because these cards are actually connected about that news of stability, of money, of balance, of that kind of stuff coming in. But as we go into the second half of the year, things are going to feel like this slow down. It slows down a bit, but it feels more grounded. It feels more stable. And it's definitely going to be a good month for working on business, career, learning, all of that kind of stuff, creating. Take advantage of it while you can after the first half of the year and some of these challenges and the ups and downs that we've gone through. Take advantage of this energy of really getting grounded and stable, and knowing that good is coming. Good stability is coming. Foundation, stability, abundance of any kind. It could be money that finally paying off. It could be love. It could be whatever makes you feel abundant. Family, great pets. My little bird's over there. She makes me happy on a daily basis. So getting her was very abundant, even though she costs money, right? So it could be whatever makes you feel abundant. Not just money, but it can also very much be money. And then July, then we go into August. 3 months of this nice, stable energy going into the second half of the year. So I think that's going to be really nice, because we start out good and then ups and downs. Feeling like we hit that wall and trying to work through that, and then it slows down and more stable because the next month is also Earth. But it's August, which also is interesting too, because August is 8. So it brings in the angel number 8 energy, which is also about abundance and money and rewards for your hard work. But this month in August, it's also also very much about the number 8, it's like 8. If we turn it on its side, maybe it doesn't work as well with fingers, but it's the infinity sign, right? So, what we see as, good and bad, this is the energy of it all getting turned on its side. So it becomes equal. So what we thought are negative experiences, bad experiences, we actually see that, hey, there we go. We actually see that it has an importance, and there is, that balance and that importance. And that is what August is really going to have you do, is balancing everything. Don't go too overboard with freely giving too much of yourself, or coming into that comfort and that stability, or you start to earn some money and then you're like, spend it all. 8 is about, or August will be about, don't spend too much. But on the other hand, the opposite is, don't hold on too tightly to anything either. This will very much be about a month of balance. So if you find yourself in August holding on too tightly to money because you're in that mindset that I have to save it up, I have to hold on, I can't let things go, don't do that. Be careful you're doing that, because remember what I said about that energy, that like attracts like, right? So if you're holding on and you're saving too much and you're not, I don't want to use the word indulging because that has a negative connotation, but maybe for those of us in this collective, maybe that is a good word. Sometimes it's not only okay to indulge, you have to do it. You have to learn how to do it. And maybe that's what August is going to be teaching so many of us in this collective, is that you do have to indulge in some things. You can't always be restrictive and perfect. I know that's what so many of us learned, is that opening up and being happy and buying stuff for ourselves was a dangerous place to be. Something could come along any second and just knock us down, so you had to stay in that more humble, reserved, restricted state of mind. But things are changing. The work that you have done, things are changing. And now, it's time to create balance. Make sure you are giving yourself things that make you feel good, that make you feel happy. You've worked for it. You've earned it. You can have good things. It doesn't make you a bad person. And just because you have more in your life doesn't mean that you then have more to lose. Technically, I guess that is true. But that's not where you're at in this journey. That's not where you're headed. That's not the work that you've done. You've come so far. You're not in that timeline anymore. We shift timelines this year. Before January even started, and in December we started shifting timelines then. So it's already shifted, and you don't have to worry about that danger that you once did. It is now okay to occasionally just indulge and enjoy life. Enjoy your life. Enjoy what you have. Enjoy the money that you earn. Enjoy the success. Enjoy life. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and the more you enjoy it, and the more you learn, and the more you grow, the more you could help other people do the same. And that is a huge part of our purpose, is helping other people, passing that on. So you have to have a good day. How can you teach people, to be happy and abundant and have a good, happy life if you don't know how to do it yourself, right? So, September, more of the earth energy, we go into the 10 of earth, and things are paying off. September is going to feel like things are finally paying off. The 10 of earth. Like I said, very happy family life, financial security, finding magic in the little things in life. September is going to finally feel, it's probably when a lot of those rewards of the year, the news we had in January and in July of this abundance and prosperity, and possibly even money coming in. September is when we're going to start seeing that shift. It's coming in beginning of the year challenge, September, it finally just lessens. It's finally feeling more secure, more like the work you've done is paying off. You're getting there. You're getting there. And then October is going to be the 4 of Air. And so October, after all of that, after this year, after 2025, and then after the beginning of this year, and making that transition and moving into this new timeline, you know, and the challenges and the tests that we may face. And when I say test, please know, I don't mean you're being tested. It's more of some of your old energy, that residual energy is still there in the universe. You know, you're still attracting to you some of that old stuff. It still comes in, and the test isn't like you're being given a test that you're going to be graded on. It's just more of a test of, you know, you have that choice and you have that free will of what you're going to do. So are you going to go with the changes that you've learned, or are you going to fall back into old patterns? And if you do fall back into old patterns, how are you going to deal with that? You know, have you learned? Do you really want? Are you really going to do what you said you were going to do as you work through these changes and everything? So it's not like a test, like pass, fail. You have to pass this test, or you don't get it unless you pass the test. Not that kind of test. So keep that in mind whenever I say that, please. Because it's really a completely different thing. It's just seeing where you're at, seeing what you've learned, and seeing what choices you really do make when you're put to the test, right? So October, after doing all that and making it through all that, October is going to be a month to just step back and rest. And don't try to make anything happen. Not a month for progress, not a month for, you know, making things happen. It's going to be more of a month of just take a break. It'd be a really good month for a vacation. But definitely a month to spend in like hermit mode, a little bit of a hermit mode going into that. Or you might feel driven to just feel like, I'm exhausted. I just want to rest. And then a lot of meditation, spending time alone, resting, recovering, integrating. Remember, all this work requires integration and that time for the pieces to kind of cement and fall into place and start getting more comfortable there. So that's October. And then November, we have more earth energy. So still the end of the year, going a little bit slower, a little calmer. This is the one with the guardian angel energy in those cards. So call on your guardian angel if you need to. Take things slow. The energy might feel a bit slow in November. Maybe like it's not moving quite as fast as you want it to, but that's a good thing. Go with that. Go with that slower, calm, solid energy. Slow and steady wins the race. I think this is a year with a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of shifting going on, and then going into the end of the year, starting in October, is about taking that step back, resting. Meditation is going to be your best friend. Coming up with a lot of answers and new beginnings, getting ready for, you know, the next year through that meditation and through that practice of meditation and resting and integration and being with yourself. And then, you know, just slow down, get things done, get through the end of the year, just let it kind of happen and just be focused. Do earth energy stuff. So like grounding stuff, taking care of your physical body, making sure your physical health is, making plans, just getting organized, slow and steady, solidify, you know, wins the race. And then in December, we end with a major arcana card, which is balance. And yeah, so this is in regular tarot. This is going to be temperance. So very much about balance, the card has said. So December is just still a little more about taking a step back, a little more meditation, self-evaluation, and looking back on everything that you've accomplished and everything that's happened, and the end of the year, the integration, and ensuring going forward. But the thing about it is that it's a major arcana card. So I think in December is when, it's a big lifelong thing. It's not just balance in one area of your life. It's just gonna overall, along your spiritual journey and the work that you've been doing, feel more balanced. Being able to see why you went through a lot of the challenges, why things happened the way they did, and why some of them needed to happen. Why it is some of that struggle that we constantly go through. Not constantly, I didn't mean that, but what it can feel like we're constantly going through. Like, what's the purpose of that? Why did I have to do that? Why did I have to go through that? Some of that's you're gonna start seeing why it happened and feeling that more balance in your life. And that is the entire year. So I'm gonna do one of these secret language of light cards, and you're gonna see just how pretty they are. And I'm gonna do one for each month. And instead of really interpreting the card for you, I'm going to show you the image, and I want you to focus more on how does the image of the card make you feel. The image, the words, the colors, and all of that, and just kind of look at that. And of course, I'll say a little something about it, but see how it really resonates with you, and bring in some of that personal message, that personal energy, relying on some of, your intuition. Okay, so let's see. February, March, April, May. And some of the shuffling might take a little longer since I'm doing 12 cards, but I can always cut some of it out if I need to. So let's see. What's happening in June? I tried to do this table so you can see the cards as much as possible, but it's really kind of hard to do that. But hopefully you can see some of it. It does go in a circle for the year. This usually ends up being a really good personal reading too. So for those of you who don't know, I've been working really hard on my website recently. Hopefully that's what January means for me, is maybe getting that website done. But I do have a few readings listed on there. That's at sarahlaveriel.com. And, I'll leave that link all over the place in the description or whatever. And I don't have it listed right now, but I will get year ahead, month ahead, week ahead, all of those listed so you get more personal details into that if you want. All right. So let's just go ahead and do this more intentionally. They're not popping out like, man, those first cards did. I love when they do that. I always feel like the readings are just so much more energetic and obvious and easier to pick up on when the cards are really jumpy like that. These are for you. More for you to get a bit of that personal reading. So let's just get these laid out. Thank you, angels. What more do we need to know about each one of these months? The collective need to know about each one of these months. Okay, so remember January. The card that we have is Insight. Make sure that you can see that. Take a good look at that. What does it make you feel? This is going to be the card that the energy that in the message that the angels are giving you going into January. For me, I'm talking about we're going into that January is the angel number 1, and the year is the 1. A lot of 1 energy, and that insight is like tapping into that inner self, really learning how to communicate and talk to and trust your inner self, that gaining insights, downloads, intuition. February, if you remember, was the Ace of Air. Some challenging beginnings, challenging starts, great new brilliant ideas coming in. And the card is, I should look at it. Honestly, I have no idea. I've never seen this card. This is my first time with it. And I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Take a good look at it. See how it makes you feel. And I will look at in this book and see a little of what it says. 26. Okay. 26. 26. Creating soul truth in the world. The outside world feels more real than the inner world because we have been encouraged to focus more on what is outside of us. We have learned to give things that can be seen by others or touched by us more importance than what we feel. Making decisions can become difficult when our awareness is focused away from our inner needs and wants. When our internal and external realities are integrated, decisions are clear and easily made. This leads to satisfaction, as there is no resistance to your fulfillment. When we scan the myriad possibilities open to us in the manifested world, we will know what we want and will not feel overwhelmed. In this space, we become grateful for the decisions we have made and all the ones we will make in the future. So that's interesting. I definitely think that is fascinating. I'm going to show you that once again, what that looks like going into February with that Ace of Air. The Ace of Air saying, new thoughts and challenging beginnings. And then for March, when we had the Knight of Fire, if you remember that, some old thoughts starting to come up, maybe definitely listening to your heart and following it. We have Let Your Light Shine. And I think that, taking a look at that and how that makes you feel, I think we definitely got more of that, especially because we had said, what I was picking up on earlier about following your heart and not letting those old thoughts and old ideas cause you to, I guess I can put that down, huh? That can cause you to, hesitate with going forward or doubt or fall backwards, but really listening to your heart and trusting yourself and your passions and your desires, letting that fuel you, even if the rest of the world is saying that it might be a bad idea or you shouldn't, whatever, And then April was the one with the moon, where that the lights kind of get turned out on us, and we gotta really trust and rely on that intuition. And with that, we have transformation. That is just a beautiful card, honestly. The imagery to go with the idea of the moon. The moon being like your inner guidance and your intuition and following it. And like I said, earlier, sort of like a test. April and following that is sort of like a test. It's, not a test that you're being tested or graded, but a test as in you're transforming. Some of that old residual energy and stuff is coming in, but internally, spiritually, transformation is occurring. And then we get into May was the Magician, that manifesting, that seeing some of your power. Haha, this is amazing. I love it. Sensitivity. Just look at that. Oh, like I said, think back to what I said and May about that, starting to realize your gifts, starting to realize just how much power you have, that you're going to start seeing, some of your psychic gifts, your intuition, not believing it, some of those doubts being removed as you're able to see more of your ability to manifest, be it through thoughts, through what you believe, or whatever it is. And look, sensitivity. I am talking to a collective of light workers and highly sensitive spiritual beings, people who have grown up being highly sensitive and being told that we're too much, you feel too much, you're too sensitive, how bright can that light possibly be? Just deal with it. What do you mean you can hear the fluorescent light? Nobody else can hear it. Nobody else sees it flickering. You're just too sensitive, right? But here, and I don't want to sound cliche, I don't want to sound like everybody else says, oh, your sensitivity, your autism, your ADHD, your bipolar, your whatever it is, that makes you neurodivergent and sensitive to things in the world that neurotypical people aren't sensitive to. Not to sound cliche by saying that's your superpower. I know people use that a lot, and it kind of sounds a little annoying and weird to me sometimes, but seriously, it may not be your superpower if you don't like that word, but it is part of your path. It is part of your abilities. It's part of what makes you who you are, and it's part of what is going to make this world a better place because of you, because of your sensitivities. And these sensitivities, not just to the physical world, but your sensitivities to the spiritual, all those sensitivities that you've had all your life that you may have been told is too much or not to do, or had to deal with. Those are the things that are going to help you tap into spirit. So they are very powerful, and they are kind of like a superpower. So there you go. I love that. Especially with a magician card. That's just amazing. So then we go June. Oh yes. June was the 8 of Earth, where maybe some feelings of feeling kind of trapped. Watch those thoughts. And the card we have is wellness. Any thoughts, feelings that brings up for you? I feel like I could say a lot about it, but it's obviously wellness, mind, body, spirit. I'm going with 24 adds up to 6. 6 is the number of spirit is taking care of you, unconditional love, some of that more positive, balanced. If things feel difficult, just knowing that when you ask for help, you can receive help. But taking care of yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, all of that. That is probably actually what's going to help you with those thoughts and not feeling trapped. And then we go into July. We had the Ace of Earth. So that's when things start feeling a little more steady. It starts feeling a little more steady, a little more calm. Some good news about like the career, money, abundance. Remember all that. And then we have this. I just looked at it. I know what it said, and I've already forgotten. Right. Nothing has gone wrong. So that's a reminder as things start to shift in July. They start to shift to that more steady, grounded. Nothing's gone wrong. No matter what the year's been like, no matter what tests you've been through, no matter if you think you passed or you failed or whatever, these thoughts of yours are telling you the month before, take care of yourself. In July, Nothing's gone wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Everything is going just as it's supposed to. Just as it's supposed to. Don't doubt that. And then we get to the Four of Earth in August. Remember that. A lot of that balancing. Being willing to indulge and take care of yourself and give yourself some stuff. Let yourself be happy and enjoy life. Yeah, that's the main thing. Just let yourself enjoy life. It's your time. It is your time. And here we have... I forgot what it was again. Soulcraft. I can look that up and see more of what that means, but I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with like your mission and your authenticity. And it does got that living your life. When you live life to the fullest, meaning having that physical stuff that we tend to hold back from ourselves because we don't want to be selfish, or all of those fears that we have that we're selfish if we indulge in living life. But it's part of that mission. It's part of who we are. What we desire, what we need actually helps build us up so that we can do more. So don't deny yourself too much of the things that you want. Okay, and then September, we have the 10 of Earth. Oh, yeah. That's when all this stuff starts balancing out. It starts feeling good. You're starting to really see all of the work and everything pay off. Congratulations. And then we have Whispers. Look at that and see how it makes you feel. The colors, the image, the word, what comes up for you. What are your angels telling you? Because for me, what is coming up with that is really listening to all the whispers of your higher self, of your angels. So I will just leave that one at that. So you hear those whispers. This is an angel whispers reading. And then the October, the month of rest, meditation, integration, all of that, we have Nourish. What does that mean to you? The water, the planet. Nourish yourself. Maybe. Nourishing others. Picture of the earth. Nourishing the planet. It does go, if you look at these cards together, they go pretty well with that Four of Earth, that meditating, that taking a step back and just letting everything calm together and settle into place the way it's supposed to be. Meditate, nourish your soul, so you know the next steps for going forward. And then as we get to November, remember, was the Knight of Earth, taking things slow, getting now all the pieces tied together. What do we have here? Awakening. Call in your guardian angel. Definitely. Guardian angel in November, which is, by the by, the 11, angel number 11, which is the number of awakenings. So all of this year is definitely leading towards an awakening. But definitely look at it. What does it bring up for you? I want you to really tap into your intuition to get additional readings. And throughout the year, you can always come back in November and look at it again. Look at it again and see if something new comes up after when you're actually in this time and in this energy later on, and see, how things are playing out and see if there's anything else. Okay, and then we have, this balance in December, things balancing out, seeing things whole life timeline shifting and getting settled, and perfect timing coming in. And we have divine animals, not alone. See what that means to you and what it feels to you. But I'm definitely, I hear very clearly that it's saying that, we're not alone. I mean, we're animals too. Technically, we are divine animals, but we're also a bunch of highly sensitive spiritual beings, light workers, empaths, all of that. And animals, be it in the physical world or, crossover animals, divine spirit world, they get us through a lot, companionship, love, guidance. If you are one of those highly spiritual, neurodivergent people that connects easier with animals than you do with people, feel more comfortable with animals, call on your spirit animal. We have spirit animals too. That is something that I don't really do a lot of work in, but I do know I have some cards that are based on animals that absolutely amazing for healing. I have done a meditation to see what my spirit animal is. The butterfly, I did not expect that, but a butterfly came up. I'm actually very scared of butterflies, so maybe it makes sense with the, shadow work and the way all this stuff works, right? But for you, that balance, you're not alone. You've got the animals in the world, you've got animals in the spiritual realm, and you may just be one of those people that your spirit animal is extremely powerful. But yes, definitely going with your intuition and what you feel, what is coming up for you. That's just my ideas to help you with it a little bit. And that is it. We have made it all the way through this intense year of beginnings, of transformation, of manifesting. Oh my goodness. So let us do really quick, just real quick, because I know this is already getting long. I'm going to do a quick 3 cards, one message from your angels, just overall as you head into the year. What do your angels want you to know? What does your heart want you to know? And what is your soul or higher self telling you? I love ending readings with these 3 trio cards to just really help hear those different aspects coming. And, maybe take some time to see what your spirit animal is telling you. If you're one of those people as well, especially in December. Your spirit animal is going to have a lot of answers for you as we go through that major arcana at the end of the year. Alright. What's the final message? Again, these cards like to be jumpy. Angels, you are what I've been of. Okay. There they are. See, I need to go a little bit quicker. Okay, so from your angels, awakening. From your heart, the 3 of earth. More grounded. Your heart wants you to be like grounded and solid. Grounding in all of the stuff that you've learned and making it real. I didn't look at it. 2 of earth, more earth cards. Whew. This is a lot of earth energy this year. That's your soul or your higher self, the 2 of earth. So the angels, this message is going into the year. When things feel like they're not moving, when things feel difficult this year, from the very beginning to the end, take a step back. Gain a new perspective. Things are just changing. You're going into the unknown. You're going into a new beginning. Things are not what you're used to. So they're saying as you go into this year, you might, the ups and downs, like I said, the ups and downs, the ups and downs of this year, is try and gain a different perspective through meditation. Don't beware of falling back into those old patterns. Let them define for you what is going on, because things are changing. You're going through a spiritual awakening. You're shifting timelines. Things are different than they have ever been for you before. This is new. And this year might feel a little slow. Maybe not time-wise, but a little slow as far as like progress that you're hoping for. We all go into the new year. Yay, it's a new year. And we've got New Year's resolutions and intentions and a new energy. And it's so exciting at first. And then it wears off. And this year might not go quite as quickly as you hope. I think January is going to like just straight up start with that earth energy. More slow, grounded, focused. It doesn't mean it's not moving. It means that you're rooting it in. You're grounding, you're growing roots, you're solidifying everything. You're creating that foundation. So even if it feels slow, doesn't mean it's not strong. So remember that new perspective. Your hearts with the 3 of Earth. Yeah, your heart really wants you to realize just how much work you've done and how far you've come. Yeah, definitely give yourself credit. Take time to celebrate and enjoy what you've done. It's a lot of success, a lot of progress. Your heart knows it. Once again, that perspective that we get into from that ego and those past experiences, the angels are saying, look at it from a different perspective. Your heart is saying, celebrate. You've come so far. Be proud of yourself. Celebrate. Enjoy it. And then from your higher self, more earth energy, more of that slow, solid, foundational energy. And so this card actually says too much going on at once. The need to make a decision. Consider a more playful approach. So definitely that seems to fit in with also this new perspective. The 3 of Earth, that enjoying life, living your life, appreciating yourself, celebrating all of that. And then your higher self is saying is a lot. It is a lot going on. You've done a lot. You're continuing to do a lot. This year is not just a piece of cake. It's another year of growth, another year of ascension, another year. It's a lot going on. Take the time you need to rest. Take the time you need to make decisions. Take the time you need. Do not hesitate too much over here in March, but also, don't don't jump into a conclusion just because that's what your thoughts say. Evaluate those thoughts. And of course, probably the most important part of this card that your higher self is telling you is don't take it all too seriously. A more playful approach. Consider a more playful approach. So have fun with it. Have fun with life. Have fun with this journey. Remember, it's about the journey, not the destination. That's a lot of this. So don't forget to have fun. Look at things from a different perspective. Try to be more playful about it. Celebrate. See the good. I know you're good at seeing the good in situations. Use that. It's one of your sensitivities. It's one of your superpowers. Use it. And I am, as always, sending just a super ton of love and blessings to you all. Thank you so much for being here. This reading was so much fun. I am so glad that you watched it. If you watched it all the way to the end, I am just so incredibly honored and blessed that you would do so. Because I know this is going to be long. I don't know how long, but it's going to be long. But this is a lot of stuff to go over. This is a heck of a year. And I so cannot wait. I can't wait to go through this year and walk this journey alongside of you as we in this collective go through it together. And as us highly sensitive spiritual beings, I'm going to do more videos about that and talk about what that is and that healing and that integration and that learning And I really feel excited. We'll see what happens to me in April when I hit that wall, right? But anyway, for real, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for more content, more card readings, and I really look forward to it. As always, I'm sending a ton of love and blessings to you all.